Talking all things UFC 207 with Marc Raimondi. Check him out at MMAfighting.com. And Mark, you and I have talked about this way too much. Weight cutting issues, and guys simply can't, guys and women, just simply can't make the weight. We've seen it again with Big Rig. Johnny Hendricks has, did not really get that close for his fight with Neil Magny tomorrow night. He missed the limit by 2.5 pounds. He's going to forfeit 20% of his purse, win, lose, or draw, to Magny in this one. He already missed weight ahead of UFC 200 with Kelvin Gastelum. I don't know that there's an easy answer to the question that you and I have posed many times over, but how is this happening over and over?
That's a really great question. You know, part of it is a systemic problem with the culture of MMA and the weight cutting culture that comes from amateur wrestling, where some fighters try to cut as much weight as possible before the fight so they can be the bigger man or the bigger woman inside the cage, which doctors and scientists have said that is actually, the notion is actually ridiculous. That doesn't actually help you in many senses. Dehydrated fighters can actually be at a severe disadvantage in the cage. The other thing is just a personal, it's just a personal thing of taking care of your own stuff. You know, with Johnny Hendricks, this is a guy that, man, not that long ago, he was beating George St. Pierre. He was bloody. I mean, he didn't win that fight.
Oh, he won that fight.
He won that, but we know he won that fight. He beat up George St. Pierre. He beat Robbie Lawler. I mean, this is a guy who was the best, baddest 170-pounder in the world. Fast forward 2.5 years, and he looks like a shell of his former self. And you cannot tell me that the weight cuts of him getting too big in the offseason and trying to cut a ridiculous amount of weight, you cannot tell me that has not contributed to his depletion as an athlete. I don't see any other way around it. It has to be part of it.
And Mark, not just because you're a friend, but you write tremendously, incredibly enlightening things at MMAfighting.com. You recently wrote about the weight cut here and these issues, Mark. And you think maybe it's systematic also with the early weigh-ins that they're having. Explain to the viewer exactly why that might be the case.
Yeah, it's a very strange thing. Starting back in June, the UFC went to a format of an earlier weigh-in. It used to be in the afternoon about 4 p.m., and now it's in the morning from 9 to 11, usually local time. The reason why they wanted to do that, doctors and regulators got together and said that it's better for the fighter, because we know they're going to cut weight. We know they're going to dehydrate themselves at least a little bit. So it's better for the fighters to have more time in between the weigh-ins and the fight. So at least they can recover better. They can rehydrate, because doctors say you cannot adequately rehydrate from that kind of a weight cut in 24 hours. You just can't do it. The fluid on the brain gets depleted. It's just a mess for fighters' health. So they're giving fighters more time to do it. A weird byproduct of that, Dave, is that since the early weigh-in started in June, 21 fighters have missed weight. Wow. And before the early weigh-in, from January to June, only 1 had missed weight. Now, I don't know the reason why that is. People have speculated as to why. Some doctors that I talked to said that they think that fighters think that it's a more lenient process now. They have 2 hours to weigh in, a 2-hour gap, so they're not taking it as seriously. Some people have speculated to me that maybe the hotel sauna is not open that early, so they can't spend these long hours in the sauna cutting weight, which is actually a good thing, a very good thing. Fighter, that's a very unhealthy practice to go in a sauna and deplete yourself of water before the weigh-in. I don't really know the reason why, but it does seem like since the early weigh-in came in, more fighters are missing weight. I'm still asking around. I don't know why. I think probably the biggest reason, Dave, is honestly they just haven't adjusted. A lot of fighters, they did it one way for a very long time.
Sure.
Now it's earlier, and they have not adapted to that.
All right, that's why you should always read Marc Raimondi at MMAfighting.com. Great stuff, Mark. Can't wait to ring in the new year with UFC 207 in 24 hours. Happy New Year, my friend.
Thanks, man. Happy New Year.